Welcome to the Jeff Knows Inc. Entrepreneurial Show with your host, Jeff Lopes.
We are live in the Jeff Knows Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lopes. Super excited to have on, which I consider, we've known each other for a very short time because I already automatically consider him a good friend, just a good soul, good person, great father, great husband, founder of Dream Divers. What is up, brother? What is up, Ira?
Jeff, what's up, bro?
I can't say I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. What our conversations go, they're pretty much a free-flowing conversation. So there's no set question. We just have a good conversation. But I want our audience to know as much as we can about you today. What is your passion? What is your mission? Your past, your history? We're just going to go everywhere with this conversation. No set path. I always start off our conversation just for the audience to know what you're currently up to, what you're currently doing, and then we're going to take it from there. So give the audience a little bit about yourself, what you're currently up to, and then we'll take it from there, brother.
Yeah, awesome. First of all, man, I want to say shout out to all the Jeff Knows Inc. show listeners, man. You have a great and fearless leader. So whatever you're doing in the world, make sure he's on your calendar. Whenever he's launching something, you need to be there. Who is Ira Davis? What am I doing right now? Listen, I run a company called the Dream Diver Company, right? We're a transformational media and coaching company. And we work with purpose-driven pioneers, visionaries, and world changers, people who are tired of chasing paychecks, promotions, awards, and accolades, right? They got all the things. They got all the status. They have all of that stuff. But in their heart, they're sitting at their cubicle, their desk, their job, or their entrepreneurial endeavor and saying, hey, listen, something's off. And I feel in my heart that I was called to do something bigger, more purposeful, and legendary with my life. And so what we get to do, Jeff, we get to do three things, man. We get to help them destroy their fear and comfort zones. We get to help them discover their purpose and dive for their God-sized dreams as purpose-driven entrepreneurs and leaders, man. So that's what I get to do, brother.
You have a gift with how you word things. And that's something where I want to dive into that, because that's something I look at you and every time I hear you talk, doesn't matter if it's on Clubhouse, doesn't matter where it is. It's like, it's almost everyone wants to stand up and just listen. You have that almost like magnet effect. Was that something you practiced? Is that something you learned? Is that something that naturally came to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, definitely not practice, man. It's just one of those, the difference between talents and skills, right? Talents, things that God put in you when you were born. It's just one of those things, but it took me probably until I was about 31-ish to really understand that I had something that was as powerful as it was, right? I grew up not knowing that I was me, right? And I don't know if any listeners out there can relate. I kind of grew up trying to be a mirrored reflection of what other people were so that I could fit in. Didn't work out too well, right? I was a bad reflection and even horrible Ira Davis. But I realized, man, that, and this I'm a man of faith. So it got to a point, man, where God was like, listen, your voice is the most powerful tool that you have. And so, man, now I'm in a season of just leaning into what I know makes me unique and authentic and ultimately a servant leader in the world. I believe words create worlds. And so how we use our words, man, can make or break people. I'm a firm believer, like my team will tell you, sometimes I'm a butthole about emails and things of that nature. Why? Because if your words are not positioned properly, you can literally break somebody in half, or you can push somebody to the stratosphere with how you position words and the words that you choose, man. And so my goal is to always make sure anytime I open my mouth or send any correspondence is that it's transformational. Moving people from where they were when they first started the conversation with me to a whole nother place, even if it's just 30 seconds later, man. So, so definitely not anything I practice. I probably should practice, Jeff, but I don't. It's just one of those things, man, that I can wake up and do. And everybody who's listening to the show has that thing that they can just roll out of bed and do. So, hopefully that answers your question, brother.
I love what you said that. Listen, that just popped in my mind when you said that, because you always hear people say, like, everybody could be a Michael Jordan, everybody in their own space, and finding that moment that just transforms. And some people are in their 30s, some people are in their 40s, some people might go their whole life and not realize their talent or what they're meant to be here. As a parent, I think it's our duty to try to find those things in our children. What advice would you give parents, and how would you, and that's something I do all the time, is how would you utilize a tool or something to grasp what talents your children have and try to help them dispense those and spread them as much as you can as they're young to start evolving quickly? Because this is a tool that you could have probably been serving to the world the last 15, 20 years, but it took yourself to find it. As a parent, do you find that you could help your child suck this out of them and pass it to the world?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. For me, I always tease, I say this every time, man, that my kids have more accolades and more trophies than I ever have. And they're only 10 and 12. Matter of fact, they surpassed my trophy count when they were 6 and 7, right? Because, we grew up in a different era, right? I'm an 80s baby. My parents worked, and, they had a very, mentality of, if you didn't perform in school, right, they weren't going to spend money on extracurricular activities. And so I was a bit of a knucklehead, right? Not a criminal, but just a class clown, kind of a guy looking for attention. And so I didn't get to do many, extracurricular activities. And so I had some loves for some, hobbies that I had to cultivate, in the backyard, in the front yard, or in the driveway on my own. And by the time I got to high school and started playing organized sports, man, I was so far behind the power curve that it was pointless, right? These kids have been playing basketball, organized sports, and since they could walk. So I was so behind the 8 ball. So for me, it was important, me and my wife, it was important for us to expose our kids to everything possible, right? So number one, if you're going to pull the greatness out of your kids, first of all, you have to be present.
100%.
Uh-oh, somebody didn't like that. You have to be present in order to be able to see what your kids love, like, and what they're good at. And so we made a decision that we would always be at everything that our children did, no matter how big or how small. And so like many dads, I became coach dad. And I've been coaching my kids in sports since they could play. Why? Because I didn't like the ego dads. I didn't like the dads who thought they were, the NFL coach of the year, not recognizing that you have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds on the sideline, not, 30-year-old men and 20-year-old men. And so I wanted to instill certain values in my kids and certain values into the kids that I saw my kids playing with. So I became coach dad, those who can't do coach, right? And so I became an excellent coacher of doers and won a couple of championships. But first of all, you have to be present. Second of all, you have to be aware that when you have more than one kid, one size doesn't fit all, right?
Yeah.
What my oldest loves to do doesn't necessarily mean my youngest loves to do. And I had to learn that the hard way. And then you have to take it upon yourself to invest into what you see that they love. May not be easy. Like I have one kid, my youngest loves to scooter. Like he that's his thing. So we're at the skate park 7 days a week, and I've spent more on scooters that I didn't even know was possible, right? I thought the Razor was the top of the line from Walmart. No, not it at all, right? They got $200 scooters out there, right? Then my oldest, he loves to act, but he's also an athlete, right? So you have to be intentional about seeing what your kids love, what they want to do, and then find ways to support that dream, that inkling of a fire in them, so that by the time they have some hard decisions to make in life, where they're going to go after college, etc., they have so many keys to so many doors that they are not forced to choose one. They have options. And I think that has been kind of our mantra. We want to give our kids options. If you can get into school via education, via sports, via acting, if you're going to be the first African-American pro-sponsored scooterer, let's go. Like, we want to pour into them and give them the ability to become whoever they could become because we supported it. And sometimes we limit our kids in what they could have been because we're so busy doing everything else that we don't develop them so they become a handicapped adult with only 1 or 2 talents or skills. So that was a long answer, but I hope that helps somebody out there with kids.
I love that. And there's 3 points you said there. Is one, being present. That's something we talk about on a regular basis, and being present is not just sitting in a room, is being present at activities, socializing, talking to them, listening to them. Another thing is being supportive and just giving them the options, right? Letting them make the choices and just being supportive on their choice. I think there's tons of value out of there. So I appreciate that. Let's talk about Ira. You were in the military. When did you decide to join the military? What was your mindset when you joined? Did you have family in the military? Like, what was your path towards the military?
Yeah, no, no family. Well, I had some distant family in the military, but not anybody close, right? You know, people like, oh, my uncle, my dad, and everybody was in. No, not in my family. I had some distant relatives who were military, but what happened was I wanted to be a basketball player. Got to ninth grade, realized that I didn't have what it took. I was so behind the power curve. I didn't understand conditioning. I didn't understand running plays, right? I was just like, hey, pass me the ball. Let me dribble for 48 minutes and then miss the shot and then let's do it again. I had no concept of organized basketball. So I was way behind the power curve, sat on the bench, and I was the guy who got in the last 3 seconds of every quarter, right? If that. My jersey was so fresh that they didn't even have to wash it between games. I was that guy. And I realized, okay, this is not going to work out. I'm behind the power curve. So I found Marine Corps ROTC in high school. And was introduced to it by a friend, got in, and immediately I felt at home. Leadership, inspiration, I felt at home, became really, really good at it. And throughout high school, we won, they had ROTC competitions. And, we won some state titles, some regional titles. We did some great things. And so I said, okay, after high school, I'm going to join the Marine Corps. I saw a couple of videos about, drill instructors in the Marine Corps. I was like, ooh, that's something I could probably be great at. And so I said, let me go in the Marine Corps. Instead of college, because I felt like if I went to college, I would waste people's money because I'm not going there to get an education. So joined the Marine Corps to lead and to inspire. And what I found out, Jeff, was leadership and inspiration is a character of a Marine. It's not a job description. It's not a job. Yeah. And so I found myself 80% miserable and 20% happy because I got to lead and inspire every day. But then I had to actually have a job profession in the Marine Corps. Got down to becoming a drill instructor at about my 8-year mark. So it took me 8 years to get to that place. Yeah. Because you have to be a certain rank and et cetera, which I didn't know. Got down to becoming a drill instructor, man. And it was just like second nature because I had been doing leadership and inspiration and teaching drill and teaching uniforms and Marine Corps history and customs and courtesies since I was 14 in high school. So I literally had like a 4-year head start on all of my peers who came into boot camp with me. Because I had literally, so at boot camp, man, I was literally, they made a joke, my drill instructors made a joke on graduation day with my parents. They were like, man, we could have gave him the platoon because he could do everything we could do, right? But it was because at 14, I was doing this while everybody else was just being a high school student. I was literally doing what drill instructors do. And so it just came like second nature, man. And so, so for me, I joined the Corps because I wanted to lead and to inspire, not because I wanted to, shoot people and, run into buildings and, you know what I mean? So it was one of those, that was the only place I knew I could go and get paid on the 1st and 15th to lead and to inspire. And so that's how I ended up in the Corps, bro.
So you're in the Corps for a total of how many years?
10 years.
10 years. And you met your wife and got married during your stay in the Corps?
Yeah, it was early on. I was about 21 years old, man. I got married super young.
21. What age were you when you became a dad?
21. I got married. I met my wife, got engaged, got married all in the same year. And then she got pregnant 3 months after.
And you're in the Marine Corps. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. Did you have a lot of supporting staff, like family, that helped you through that process? Or is it more like, give me a little rundown of Ira at 21, expecting, just married, trying to get his career, trying to figure her life out. Like, where was your mind back then?
2 words, young and dumb. Young and dumb. Young, dumb, and in love. I'll add the third one. Young, dumb, and in love. Right after we got married, I got orders that I was going to be going on a what we call a West Pack in the Marine Corps, a 6-month tour on ship with the Navy around the world. And And 3 months later, while we were kind of doing our workups, I found out my wife was pregnant. And so I literally was on ship her whole pregnancy. And then we got extended for a month at sea, and came back. And 2 weeks later, she had the baby. So I just made it to see the birth of my first son. And it was hard. It was hard to be away from her. So early in our marriage, right? Nobody wants to get married to the picture version of their spouse. So it was difficult, man. And, on ship, you don't always have connectivity to call and to speak. And so I'd have to wait until we pulled up into a port and, get a calling card, scratch it off on the back, find a phone and call her. And, the phones on the ships were, kind of hit or miss. They were way down in the deck of the ship. It was hot. Everybody wanted to use the phone. So it was a crazy period of feeling alone, lonely, sending money home to make sure she had everything she needed. She was living with her mom at the time while she was pregnant, so her parents could help. So we had a great supporting staff. I was stationed here in California, and so that's where my wife is from. And so she was able to go home and be with her family. And, while I was gone, they went out and found our very first apartment. And so when I came home, all of that stuff was already kind of done. And man, but it was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, but it's the power of us growing up young and those lessons that have been throughout the years have made you into the man you are today. And it's funny because I was talking about this morning with my wife, and I posted a picture when we were 21 together this morning. And we were actually dating since 19. So we were dating a couple of years before that, on and off. So we've been together for quite a few years. And as she pulled me this picture, she's the one who gave it to me this morning. She goes, "Look what I found." And it's so crazy when you think of the ups and downs, the roller coasters. If we were to turn to the left instead of right, would we be still together? The moments. So it's crazy to see the journey and to know that after all these years and all those journeys, that person's still by your side. And there's nothing more special than that. And I know you hold your wife very high at praise because you talk so highly of her. What does she mean to you?
Everything. Let me break that down for you, man. You're gonna make me get emotional because I wouldn't be the man that I am today without my wife. She is my backbone. She's my everything. And it was funny, man. I met my wife at a house party when I came back from Iraq in 2006. In LA, my homeboys, family and friends kind of threw us a welcome home party. It was 3 of us. And my wife was there, and she was sitting on the couch in the living room in front of the chips, eating all of the chips, bro. And I walked up to her. I said, "Excuse me, are these your chips or are these for everybody?" And she looked at me, bro. She was like, "What?" And man, she got up to go to the bathroom a little while later, and I met her in the hallway. And I said, "Listen, you are amazing. I'd love to get your phone number." And she looked at me up and down, Jeff, and she said, "Bro, how old are you?" Right? That's what she said, Jeff. The first thing she said, "Bro, how old are you?" And I said, I hit her with this one, Jeff. I said, "Doesn't matter how old I am, I guarantee you that I've seen more and done more than any other man you've ever been with at my age or yours. Guarantee it." And she said, oh, okay. And she gave me her phone number, Jeff. And not knowing that she would actually like me, the rest of the night went on. We kicked it. We told each other our life story at a house party, right? Music blaring. Who does that? Told each other our life story. Slow jam came on, and she started singing. We started dancing. I said, when are you going to sing that song to me in real life and actually mean it? And, bro, we've been together ever since. But that night before she left, she said, "I have a confession." She said, I gave you my real number, but that number is actually off and disconnected. I didn't think I was going to like you, so I gave you a real number, but it's just not on. She said, "Let me give you the number to where I'm really staying at," right? So anyway, I earned the real number by the end of the night, man. And fast forward 14 years later, we got married, we got engaged, all in the same year. People thought we were crazy, but 14 years later, here we are with 2 amazing kids, and we are inseparable. And here's the other reason why: she's my rock and my everything. at my 11-year mark. No. I'm lying. My 8-year mark in the Marine Corps. She woke up one morning, Jeff, and she said this. She said, I had a dream and God showed me that we would be well off one day because you would do something great. And Jeff, this was at a point in my life where I was the epitome of average. There was nothing in my life that looked like greatness. Nothing. Like, I thought I was going to live and die as a Marine. I thought I was going to do 20 years. I thought I was going to skate by being purpose lost and just accepting a paycheck, not knowing what I was born to do with my life. Like when sometimes kids have something to brag about on their parents, like my dad is, he's the this of the year, or he's a that, or my mom is a this. Like, there was nothing to be bragged about Ira Davis at the time. And I woke up, sat on the side of the bed, and I looked at her like she had lost her complete mind. Fast forward, man, 2021. I'm the man that I am today, and I'm not great by any stretch, but I'm greater than what I was. And it was my wife who woke up out of her sleep and spoke life to me. She spoke life to me. It was my wife when I wanted to quit doing what I was doing, quit making films, quit coaching, quit speaking, because financially it didn't look like it made sense. Financially, it looked like I had lost my complete mind. It was my wife who said, you've come too far to go backwards. You've come too far to quit. I'll do whatever I have to do to help support the family while you work the dream that I know you were put here to, because when the water breaks, everything we've ever needed or wanted will be taken care of. And so I won't let you get a full-time job. I won't let you go backwards, because I know what God showed me about who you are, and I got you. And so it was my wife, literally, who allowed me to be Ira Davis, the Chief Dream Diver. Without her, I wouldn't have had the permission to take my family through the ups and downs of what it looks like to build something that's bigger than you. How am I here today? What you see, the studio that you see here, it came because my wife said, let's go. Here's the story, and I'm done on this point right here. I came to her about 2 years ago, and I said, you know what, babe, the phone's not ringing like I think it should. I got a message that I want to share with the world. Nobody's calling me to get on their stage. Nobody's this and that. I said, I feel in my spirit that we need to just turn our living room into a studio and broadcast from here. You know what my wife said? Literally, I said, babe, we're going to have to throw the couches out. We're going to have to put them in the trash, right? And anybody who has a wife, a girlfriend, a mother knows that you don't play with their living room, right? You don't play with the living room and the couches, right, Jeff? I said, babe, we're going to have to throw the couches out so we can turn this into a studio. She looked at me, Jeff, in my eyes, and she said, it's been time. She said, matter of fact, it's past time. What are you waiting on? She said, the next time I get new couches, it will be in our dream home. She said, but it's been time, right? I don't know how many of you got dope wives like mine, but you have to find, when you are doing something that you were created to do, you have to find the spouse, the mate, who can add fuel to the fire, even when you feel like you just a little teeny tiny match. Every day when my wife come home, man, she pours lighter fluid all on my life and allows me to be who I am, man. So my wife is my everything, man. And I can't wait to the day where she could just walk through the mall, man, and say, I want 16 of those and 17 of those, because she deserves it, man. So shout out to all the spouses out there, man, who are keeping their spouse or their mate in the fight, in purpose, because we wouldn't be able to do it without you.
I love it, brother. Yeah, there's a lot of emotion, a lot of feeling in there, and it's raw and authentic. And I think it is very important for people to understand, like, every spouse has different methods, different mindsets when it comes to yours. Obviously gave you the fuel all the time. It's crazy when I sit back and think of my wife over the last, we've been married for 17 and a half years. We were together for almost 6-7 years before. And it was never a question. She's not the motivational type. She's not the type to inspire. She's a type where I'm self-driven. I'm just like, go, 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 go. But every time I would hit a brick wall and I would have to turn around and do another turn, I'd bump back into her. She's always behind me, always there, giving that little nudge. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. And it wasn't a motivational way. It was more of I knew she always had my back. I knew every single time I'm getting emotional. Every time we would go through an up and down with the business, or I would start a new venture, it wasn't a question of I'm going to do this, or other people would question it. I would just look at her and she's like, just do what you got to do. You know, you're going to be successful. Do what you got to do. You know, you're going to be, and it was always that constant that no matter what, I knew we would be taken care of. She's always had a job. My wife, even till this day, she refuses to work for me. She refuses to work with me. She needs to be independent. I appreciate that. She's very independent. She has her own career. She's very independent. I think we talked about this. We were married for 17 and a half years. We don't have one bank account together. Did we talk about this before?
No.
We don't have one bank account together, Ira. She has her bills. I got my bills. And honestly, we've never argued about money. She's very independent. She buys what she wants. She does what she wants. And I appreciate that. And we have this understanding that we're always together. We always unite together for what our kids need. But at the same time, too, she's very independent. I'm very independent. We appreciate that of each other. So it's a different dynamic, but it works. We don't argue. We have a great relationship. We come home and we have a joy to see each other every night, which is so important, right? Man, I love that, man. I love everything you said, man. That's very powerful. Your kids, how old are your children now?
I have a 10-year-old son and a 12-year-old son. Yeah. So
10 and 12. So you had your second one at 23.
Yeah. And I missed it.
You missed that?
I missed it, man. I was in drill instructor school. I was there the whole pregnancy for this one. I was there the whole pregnancy, but missed the birth. So my wife had a month to go, and I was scheduled to report to Paris Island, South Carolina for a 3-month drill instructor school. And he was born in the middle, in maybe the first 2 or 3 weeks of drill instructor school, man. So they filmed it, recorded it, of course, and I ended up getting a photo album in the mail. And I met him for the first time about 3 months after he was born.
Yeah. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I do, man. I have an older brother. We're about 2.5 years apart. And I have a younger sister. We are 7 years apart.
7 years apart. So how is your relationship with them?
My relationship with my older brother is phenomenal. I mean, 2.5 years apart. That was my guy, right? That was my best friend. We did everything together. As a matter of fact, when he went off to college, it destroyed me a little bit, man, because we did everything together. I'm like, I don't want to wake up in the morning and eat breakfast. I'm alone. I don't want to go outside. I'm alone, right? That was my partner, man. And my younger sister, we weren't so close growing up, right? 7 years apart. We're like in 2 different generations, right? Yeah. You know, I'm moving on in my life, and here she comes saying, you know, I know you are, but what am I? And I'm like, what? Who? We still saying that? Like, right? But you know, there's so much love there because she is my flesh and blood. But you know, we just come from, you know, different generations, different eras, and then by the time she got a little bit older, I was in the Marine Corps, and so she just got married about 2 years ago and had her first baby. So yeah, that's the relationship with my siblings, man.
Do you find that as you get older, I only have one sister, and it's very similar story you had, because my sister was 6 years and a half apart. So when I was in grade school, she was in high school. When I got to high school, she was out of high school. So we were never gapped together. But as we got older and became adults, now I appreciate her a lot more, and we became very close, and she's like a second mom to my kids. And it's as we get older, you realize how the clock is ticking. You almost pay attention to the clock is ticking. And I'm 44, and I mean, I'm probably past more than half of my life. So you see that, and when you start thinking about that, you start thinking about your parents and their time on earth. And you start realizing that time is something we all know that time you can't get back, but you realize how precious it is. And I think over the last 3 to 4 years, I've really taking that into consideration when I focus on spending time with my loved ones, spending time with my family. And I think it's so precious because a lot of people just don't pay attention. Especially when you're young, you don't pay attention to time. You just live. You're living for the moment. You're having fun. And as you get older and you realize that more time has passed and is ahead, you start appreciating it a lot more. Where's your mindset on that with time?
Yeah, it's crazy. And let me apologize because my dad got remarried probably about 7 years ago. So I have a step brother and step sister as well, who are, one is in high school and one is early on in college. Time, when it comes to time and relationships, man, I am not the greatest at connecting with my family members who are not in my immediate vicinity. Yeah. I am horrible at that. And I just last year, at the end of 2020, man, I lost my grandmother. She had been duking it out with, breast cancer and diabetes and heart issues and anything you can think of. She has been going toe to toe with these ailments for years and was kicking their butt, Jeff. She was giving them the business, the 1-2 knockout. And finally she was like, I'm done kicking your butt. I'm just going to go ahead and rest. And I was able to fly down to Florida, spend time with her while she was on her deathbed, and then speak at her funeral. What I realized, man, is that people don't last forever.
Yeah.
I realized that there's an expiration date on every single person that's walking this earth. And one of the reasons why I'm pushing so hard as a provider in my family is because I want to be able to stop, drop, and go spend time with the people who matter the most to me. I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and he said, him and his wife have incorporated this moments and memories mentality for their family. And that's something that I want to adopt into I'm a student I'm always learning. I'm always a student. So when he said that, I had to write that down. I said, man, I need to incorporate that into our life and our lifestyle. Moments and memories, both here in my four walls, but with the people that we don't get to see often enough. Like, I'm on the West Coast. I'm from the East Coast, born in New York, raised in Virginia, lived in South Carolina for a little bit. So all of my family is on the East Coast. All my wife's family is here. So we see them every day, all day on the weekend, etc. But it's my family and my children's connection to my family that's been strained because, I'm, a couple of $1,000 and a couple of miles away from them. And so it's like a whole big thing to get back over there, right? But it's not a big thing to pick up the phone. It's not a big thing to get on a FaceTime or a Zoom. And so what I'm learning is if I can make time for everybody else, I need to make time for the people who were there to help me become me, who loved me when I wasn't the guy that people could find on the internet, who will take care of me when the people on the internet won't come take care of me. And so time is a precious commodity that we can never get back. And I'm in a position right now where I'm getting busier, right? But I just told this to my son the other day. I said, son, daddy's getting busier, but the goal is to get busy first, raise the ante and the access price so I can get freedom back, right? I said, so we're going to open up the floodgates and then we're going to close the faucet down and make it harder to get access so that we can buy our time back, right? And so I'm trying to get him to understand because, as fathers, it's like, man, there's not enough time in the day, right? I want to spend time with my kids, but I also have to move my family forward, right? And so if I don't do either, then I failed, right? And so for me, I love being able to bring my kids in and explain to them where we are in the journey so that they understand what needs to happen as a man, as a husband, as a provider, as a person who is, come here. Actually, one of my kids is right here. Come here, son. Say hello to Mr. Jeff. We're on his podcast. Say hello. Can you see
What's
him?
up?
All
How
right,
are you,
awesome.
brother?
It's called the Jeff Knows Podcast, talking about children. You should be in school right now. Listen, so helping them understand that daddy's not doing any of this instead of them, it's for them. So that ultimately I could get back to them. When I was growing up, Jeff, my parents didn't explain it to me like that. Didn't explain it to me like that. My dad was a workaholic. Why? Because he wanted to provide, but he didn't explain to us what that looks like, right? He didn't explain to us why. He didn't, right? And we're in a generation where our kids, we will enable them if we don't tell them why.
Yeah, 100%.
Because this is the why generation. Yeah. And so if we don't tell them why, it's going to destroy them mentally. All right. So I like to explain it to my kids so that they can understand that 2 + 2 is not 4 because I said so, but there's an actual formula and things that have to happen to get to that sum. Right. And so I think for me, it's right now I'm in a position, Jeff, great question, is I need to start reclaiming my time because there's so many people that I want to love on that I can't get to right now. And so that's why I'm pushing so hard, man. So great question.
I think there's certain things we could do, Ira, and I think as as a man in the position me and you are in, and I'm a little different than you because I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years. So I've built things before, right? So now I'm getting into this world where you're into for the first time. And there's a reason I'm doing that, but I had built and it's built and exited, and I've done well that way. So the way I look at it is not one, there's two parts of it. One, we live in a world of technology, so there's no bloody excuse. So you can't do a Zoom with your grandmother, you can't do that. And what I've learned, there's two parts is what I've learned over the years, and this is something that somebody actually brought to my attention. As our parents get older, and I don't know if we talked about this before, but I would hear my dad call me and say, Jeff, I need A, B, and C. Can you come bring it to my house? And then one day somebody told me, your dad doesn't need that. Your dad just wants to see you. And one day my dad called me and he was like, Jeff, I need a couple rolls of tapes. Can you bring it from your warehouse? And I hear my mom in the background, Joe, you have like 3 rolls of tapes on the table there. Why are you asking Jeff for more tape? And he didn't know what to say. And I was like, and I just covered up like, oh, I'll be there in an hour to drop him off. And it just clicked in my head more and more. As our parents are getting older, they're realizing their time with us is very, very, very thin. So you want to maximize spending the time with them. So you don't, one, live with regrets. 2, you could do certain things. And this is something I've started doing years ago, but now I'm really implying it, where I will create, like in the summertime, a family barbecue and make sure everybody is there. And everybody's got a date and say, August 15th is our annual family barbecue, or this. You create those dates that you force everybody to reconnect. Because when I was a kid growing up, we had a very tight-knit family. So I'll give you an example. Our Christmases, we would go to my aunt's house. She had this massive house, and we go to her aunt's house, and it was aunts and cousins and family. It was like 40 people in this house. The men are all playing cards till 2, 3 in the morning. The moms are all in the kitchen cooking and baking. The kids are running around. And it was these memories of we would sleep on the floor there for 3 days. And it was the greatest memories. And as the kids got older, people started getting engaged, getting married, and everybody separated. So now I feel like I have the position in my life and I have the finances to set moments. So I create moments and I force everybody into these moments. And once they're there, it's the joy of just hanging out and talking and eating and hanging out. So creating those moments of just setting dates. And I do that, like I said, I do it once or twice a year where we set a date and we try to grab everybody together and everybody's united that one day. And it's just, you build those memories and you take the photos and you fill the photo albums with them. So this is just little things that we do that I think people can impact and change with their lives with that.
I love that, man. Got a little emotional, man, because my parents did the same thing for us growing up, man.
And how special were those moments?
Man, it's unbelievable. I mean, and we do those for our family here on the West.
Yeah.
It's my family on the East, man, where, we have to start incorporating that a little bit. And they do it over there on the East. It's just that we it's hard to get there, right? And so I think what you're talking about is living intentional and not letting the moments happen by happenstance, but carving and crafting the intentionality so that the moments will happen. And people can take everything from you. They can take your money, they can take your house, they can take your cars, they can take your careers, but they can't take the moments, the memories, and your information. And so, Jeff, I love that, man.
I appreciate you, man. So where does Ira Davis go from here? Where do you want to be in 2-3 years? Where do you want to be? Do you want to be on what stages? Like what inspires you? How many people do you want to impact? Like give me you in the future. Where are you?
Yeah, man. Appreciate this question. Listen, I'm on a dream to create 3 million dream divers. So a dream diver is a purpose-driven individual that's willing to walk away from their comfort zones to aim their entire lives at their God-sized and God-given dreams to impact the world. So I want to create a worldwide community and movement of 3 million dream divers who are living in their purpose, diving for their God-sized dreams as purpose-driven entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, and leaders in the world. That's the dream right now. And it's not a 3-year dream. It's a lifetime legacy dream that is going to have to be carried on by people greater than me, after me, and next to me, because I want this thing to permeate the earth and not just die when I die. And so I'm playing the long game. I'm living for something that is bigger than myself. Where do I want to be in 3 years, man? Listen, so along with my, transformational coaching company, the Dream Diver Company, I have a transformational documentary production company called 412 Studios, man, where we make transformational docs, cinematic docs to inspire and to coach people to die for their dreams, their biggest, most audacious dreams. And so through that, we're creating a documentary network called Dream Diver TV, where we're going to tell the stories of the most inspiring world changers and big dreamers on the planet. And so right now, man, we're in the process of raising capital to move this Netflix-style HBO model into the world. And so 3 years from now, man, I want to be able to have a robust audience of subscribers and members on this once-in-a-lifetime documentary network, man, for people, for world changers and big dreamers like you and I and your listeners who can say, man, entertainment is great, but I have a dream, I have a purpose that's brewing in my heart. It's like fire in my bones that I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't do the things that I used to because something greater is stirred up in me. And I want to watch content that will fuel my dream and help me go be who I'm supposed to be. So 3 years from now, Jeff, I want to be able to have some of the most cinematic films on some of the greatest legends to ever walk this earth in all spaces, who've done things where there was no blueprint, who did things where people told them it was impossible, who did things that people from their region or area or background was never supposed to do. I'm talking about the greats in sports, the greats in business, the greats in entertainment, the greats in education, the greats in tech. I want to be able to tell their stories in a way that nobody has ever brought a camera into a space with them in this format. That's where I want to be in 3 years, Jeff. I want to have a multi-million-dollar streaming documentary network where we can produce films at the Hollywood level that will stand the test of time and bring people and give them access to world changers and big dreamers like never before. I'm talking about the Oprahs of the world, the Richard Bransons of the world, right? The Gary V's of the world, the John Maxwell's of the world. I want to be able to bring cameras into their space. The founder and CEO of this company and that company, how did they do it? Where were they? What was their mindset? What were their wife or husband thinking as they had to struggle to found it, to start it, to build it? What was it? I want to talk to their teammates when their teammate was sacrificing their time, energy, and effort when there were no paychecks and nobody knew who they were. That's what we endeavor to do. So in 3 years, man, I want to have a robust studio, campus, and network, man, that is changing people's lives through media. And so literally my voice, my coaching is literally just the lighthouse to start attracting people to my voice, and ultimately will lead them to wanting to watch the content that I will executive produce along with great people, man. So that's where I want to be in 3 years. I don't care what stage I'm invited on or who is next to. I just want as many ears and as hearts as possible because I'm tired of seeing people living a zombie lifestyle, man. Waking up every day, going to work.
Are you gonna forget about little guys like me on the way?
No, you absolutely no, absolutely not, man.
I'm kidding.
Wherever I go, man, we're gonna be arm in arm, bro. But I'm just in a place right now, man, where I'm so hurt when I see people living and existing just to pay their bills.
And reality is, Ira, that's probably 95% of the world.
Yeah, got a lot of work to do, huh?
A lot of work to do, and I think it's not only you, it's me, it's we have to be united to help as many people as we can, because one man's not going to do it. No one person's going to do it. It's a group effort, right? We have to, and it's just impacting one person at a time. And I love what you're saying, because a station like that, it's gonna, for one, it'll bring tons of eyes, because I don't think any human does not enjoy being inspired by a video, whether it's through YouTube, being inspired, hearing a great story. Those documentaries are what changes people's lives, right? So I think what you're doing is incredible, because there's a need for it. And it is a need where it's not, people cannot get enough, because there's billions of stories around the world that need to be heard. So I think that has such an impact, because the more stories you could bring to light, it's just going to inspire the next generation and the next generation and next generation. I think that's I love that. I love that concept. when did you first buy a camera and what got you to start that? Because I want to hear your journey. Like when did you say, here, I'm going to invest on a camera, I'm going to start recording? Where did that all come from?
Man, that is super funny. So I had a natural love for filmmaking, and I used to do like birthday parties and anniversaries, bro.
Yeah.
Like in my 20s, as a Marine. Like, so, you know, we go down to LA to my wife's, you know, family's events or whatever. And I had a little Best Buy handy cam. You know, I was just there doing cute little stupid stuff. And, you know, back then it was Windows Media Movie Maker, and I would just bring it back and fool around and then show it to everybody on TV. And they used to be like, oh, you know, everybody who knew me in Marine Corps days called me Davis. They're like, oh, Davis, this is awesome. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. But what happened was when I was getting forced out of the Marine Corps, and I was getting kicked out of the Marine Corps at my 10-year mark. They gave me 3 months to transition, to pack my bags, figure out what I was going to do with my life. No money, no savings, no education, nothing. And I went to therapy, right, because depression set in. I'm a husband, father, right? Have no clue what I'm supposed to do with my life. And the Marine Corps was literally paying me to be stuck, right? I was accepting pay in exchange for allowing me to be stuck and unfulfilled. And so, you know, talked to that therapist. He came back to me and said, listen, bro, I talked to you all week long. And I've gotten down to the conclusion that you were put on this earth to inspire people to go after their dreams. He's like, I don't know what that looks like for you. He said, but I challenge you to go on a journey to figure that out, whether you're going to speak or write a book, but you need to figure it out because that's your thing. So, man, after years of literally walking around with blinders on, the blinders started to fall off, and went out to my car. I prayed and I said, Lord, what? Man, these light bulbs are going off. What are you saying? And man, he just began to reveal to me in my heart and my spirit who I was. Like, listen, you're a transformational leader. You're a pioneer. You're a visionary. You're a creative, and you're a phenomenal communicator. When you speak, people can see the vision all the way at the end, even before you put it on paper. And he said, you have this natural love for filmmaking. I'm going to put a camera in your hands and give you a platform to inspire people to go after their dreams, Jeff. And I'm like, okay, everything you just said sounds great, but how do we eat off of that, right? Like, you know, I got to take care of my, right? So anyway, I go out and I buy this camera from the PX on base that I don't even know how to use, right? It's a huge upgrade from Best Buy Handycam to where I'm at now. And I take my 5-year-old son, who's 12 now, my oldest. It was his 5th birthday. I took him out to high school, and we filmed this little flag football video of him training, doing push-ups, catching some passes, running down the field, pouring water on his head and trying to do some slow motion stuff. And I took it back in the edit, Jeff, and I put some Ray Lewis on the background for some inspirational words, put some music on it, man, and I slapped it together, and I was proud of myself. I was like, oh, yes. Not knowing that I was literally making a blueprint for myself that I would follow, you know, years later. So anyway, finished up that video. I'm taking my youngest son, who you guys just saw on the camera if you're watching this. He was probably 3 at the time. Took him to daycare on base. And there was a flyer that says NFL Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson from the LA Rams is coming to camp to give, to the base to give a free camp for the kids. So I go to their website, Jeff. They don't have an impact video showing what they're doing with his foundation. So I call them up and I say, hey, I got a camera. I'd love to make a video showcasing your impact. And they said, man, do you have anything to show us? And Jeff, all I had was that video that I had filmed of my 5-year-old son to send to an NFL legend and his foundation. I sent it over there, and they came back and they said, 2 hours later, they called me back and they said, how much hired? And literally, this is still within that 3-month time period before I get forced out of the Marine Corps. So I'm on the field literally with Eric Dickerson, Marcus Allen, Ronnie Lott, Christian Okoye. I'm talking about NFL legends.
Hall of Famers, yeah.
Hall of Famers, man. So I make this video, edit it together, send it to them. They love it. But if you look at it now, you'd be like, that was trash, right? They loved it. NFL Films calls me about a week later and says, hey, we heard you at Eric's camp. We couldn't be there. Can we license some of the footage to go on a day in the life of Eric Dickerson documentary on the Emmy Award-winning NFL Film Network? I said, absolutely. So they sent me a contract, did the whole contract thing, and a piece of my horrible-looking footage, made it into their beautiful-looking documentary. And 2 or 3 months go by. I get a call to come do some stuff for some Grammy Award-winning singers, like group Mary. One of the sisters went solo, so she asked me to come to the studio to make some behind-the-scenes stuff. Then I get to do an interview with Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child. Then I get to do Eric's camp the very next year, where I get to interview Bo Jackson and some other great people. But then I had to take a step back because I realized I'm doing a lot of videography stuff, and this is not what I heard in my spirit when I was sitting outside of this therapy session. And so God says to me, he said, "You're exactly right. I just wanted to show you that I'm about to bring you into places that you don't even qualify to be in based on your experience or history doing what you do." He said, "But what I want you to do is I'm giving you a mandate that every time you create a piece of content, you are now a documentary filmmaker. And I want you to create films that inspire people to go after their dreams, people who are stuck and unfulfilled just like you." And so I created this studio. Like I said, it's called 412 Studios, and that stands for the scripture, Ephesians 4:1-2, that says, "Live a life worthy of the calling for which you have been called." And so every time we make films, we make it in that mantra. If it doesn't help people live their purpose or die for their most audacious dreams, we don't touch it. And so I had to go from a work for hire videography mentality to shutting that down and saying, no, we are the paramount pictures for films and documentaries that inspire people to go after their dreams. And so it's been a huge transitional period from 2014 to now. And now we're in a position where we're about to go from a for-profit to a nonprofit, so we can raise, multiple hundreds of dollars so that we can pour that just into films, right? You know how it works with the nonprofit. Staff is going to get taken care of, per industry standard, and we just want to reinvest into content, reinvest. And so that's kind of where I am now. So now, like if you go to my website, 412studios.com, and that's IVII studios.com, you'll see some of the content we've made. We made some stuff on Olympic athletes, some great people, but all of that stuff was like micro documentaries. We're moving into a space where we have a film in post-production now that we're about to shop to Netflix, and a whole slate of other films that we want to create and then get to our documentary network in the future, man. So that's kind of how I got to this place. And now I'm moving myself out of the shooting role and out of the director role into the executive producer role, so that I can bring in great people who truly love to shoot and edit and direct and who've mastered the craft, so that I can focus on the high level vision of it. And that's one of the things I want to say to all the entrepreneurs out there. You have to know who you are in business. Yeah. Just because you were given the purpose or the dream doesn't mean you are the end all be all. There's a period where you have to do it, because you have to learn how to inspect what you expect. And the only way to be able to do that is to have done some of it. Yeah. Right. And so now it's time for me to move out of the way so that the great people who grew up wanting to be Steven Spielberg can come do that in our company. And I can move to a place where I can just cast the vision. So, man, hopefully that answers your question, brother.
I love it. This has been, we're passing an hour. We could probably go on a couple more hours. This has been a great conversation. I love talking to you. You know that. And it's funny you brought in one name there, Bo Jackson. Were you a Bo Jackson fan growing up?
Oh, who wasn't a Bo Jackson fan?
Okay. I'm going to give you a little something you don't know about, but remember the commercials, Bo Knows?
Bo Knows.
What's my logo? Same font, Jeff Knows. That's where I got that from.
Oh, man.
You want to laugh? True. The one thing I got back there.
Is that a Bo Jackson card?
Bo Jackson with the bat, his famous card.
Oh, man.
I'm a huge Bo Jackson guy. I grew up loving Bo Jackson because I was a baseball guy, but I also liked football. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. All right, man. This has been an amazing, amazing last hour. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate learning. I learned a lot about you. I didn't have a clue about all that studio stuff. So now I'm excited to see where it goes, and I'm excited to, man, there's so much levels there, and I'm excited to see what your first documentary you're pitching to Netflix. Are you allowed to talk about that, or you have to wait?
We're not even at the pitch stage yet. We're still in post-production, but that's where our strategy is taking us.
I love it, man. I wish you all the success in the world, and I'm proud that we've connected. I'm happy we've connected, and I see there's a lot of things we're going to do together in the future. So I appreciate you, brother, and I appreciate you as a dad, husband, and as an entrepreneur. You're going to inspire a lot of people, man. Anything you want to end our conversation telling the audience?
Yeah, Jeff, thank you again, man, for having me. You have been a great friend. I mean, we've known each other for maybe a month or two now, and it feels like a lifetime. And it's not a lot of people you meet like that in the world. And so for those of you who are listening, man, when you find somebody who is genuine, don't you ever let them go, because these are the people who are going to be the wind beneath your wings, man. And so I'll tell you like this: whenever you have a God-sized dream, an audacious dream, there's two types of people in the world. those who see reality and those who see possibility. Surround yourself with those who see possibility, because the reality folks, they mean well, but they will suffocate your dream on accident. And so I'm telling you, man, surround yourself with some people who see possibility. They may not see it as big as you see it because it's yours, but they have the DNA of a possibility thinker. And that thing will rub off on you in a way that you need it, and they will deliver it to you at the right time, man. So, any last and final words for me is this. I'll give you the acronym DREAM. DREAM, right? D, do something bigger than yourself, period. End of story. I challenge you to do something that's bigger than yourself. If you can do it on your own, it's not a God-sized dream. It's an Ira or Jeff Lopes dream, and that ain't worth living for. And nobody wants to be a part of a team where it's tangible. They want to be a part of something that is so big that it requires a God-sized dream requires a dream team. And so when you do something that's bigger than yourself, man, it will allow other people to connect their purpose and their dream with the big dream. So ultimately, you guys can go do something that the world has never seen. Number two, the R in dream. Rely on God. I don't know what you believe in, but apply it wherever and however you want to apply it. But for me, my faith is the secret sauce, and I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't give you the key to who I have become. So I want you to rely on God, because when it's bigger than you, it's going to take some kind of divine intervention for it to happen. I just told you I have a multi-million-dollar, probably billion-dollar dream, right? The Dream Diver Company is a 3-tier enterprise, right? And when I explain this to people, they're like, what? Speak coach, yep. Filmmaking, yep. Okay, network, wow. All together to accomplish 3 million dream divers. If I'm not relying on somebody that's bigger than me, I would have collapsed and given up a long time ago, right? Number 3, E, endure the process. Jeff will tell you, you have the greatest leader in all of podcast land, right? Jeff will tell you, if you aren't willing to endure the process, you have no chance of doing something that's bigger than you. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to always feel sexy. It's not going to always look good. But if you endure the process, man, I'm telling you, everything that you want will come to you because you stayed in it. Everything that the world needs from you will happen because you stayed in it. See, dreams have a built-in mechanism to keep pretenders out. It's called process. Yeah. Everybody can dream. Not everybody wants to go through the process and then execute, right? The A is this: take massive action. Take massive action, right? Strategize and then move your feet. Strategize and then move your feet. Do not stay in strategy, because strategy doesn't help anybody. Action helps, right? And then the M, make your time on earth count. Period. Make your time on earth count. Don't be, right? Scripture says, we're just here for a blink of an eye, right? Don't be so much of a blink of an eye that people don't even miss the fact that you brought something to the world that now they can't live without. So make your time on earth count. So that's just what I want to leave with your audience, Jeff, man. The acronym DREAM. Do something bigger than yourself. Rely on God. Endure the process. Take massive action. Make your time on earth count. And if you do these things, man, you will be a powerful, powerful human being. Somebody who I want to get to know because you will inspire me. So, Jeff, thanks so much for having me, bro.
I'm going to ask you one last question. I know we're pulling over here. Just one question I always ask our audience at the end. I was going to ask you because we're passing our time here, but I have to ask this question to you. If something were to happen to you today, in a few words, how would you want to be remembered by your loved ones?
I think it's simple. Yeah. I don't, and nobody's ever asked me this, Jeff, so I appreciate that. And this is a challenge. He gave everything he had.
Simple and sweet. Have you ever heard, I know this is another question. Somebody actually brought this to my attention a couple weeks ago. And I can't remember if it was in a Clubhouse conversation or whatnot. But as a man, writing out your eulogy and living, but have you heard that before? Writing out your living eulogy?
Yeah, I have.
And it's something that you think of where it's if you're going to write it out, it forces you to think of how you want to be recognized, and it might alter the way you actually live your life. I think it's something so powerful is actually handwriting out your eulogy and just sitting there and just studying it and paying attention to, is this exactly how you want to be remembered? Very, very powerful. This has been amazing, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And I'm sure we're going to be on each other's podcasts in the future again, because there's probably tons of stuff we're going to be talking about. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. You're the best.
Appreciate you, Jeff. Thanks so much.